Hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to Feels Like Weezer. It's the podcast where we talk about the discography of Weezer, every song, song by song, track by track. And today we're not just talking about one song. We are recapping the entire album, Make Believe. My name, by the way, if you must know, is Martin David Tapia. I'm a songwriter and musician.
And you can forget my name if you want, Eric Nash. You can also hear me at Almost Famous Minute and Watchmen Minute.
Yeah. And usually I say the part of what we're going to talk about after we introduce ourselves, but today I did it first because this is a wild and we're just a couple of wild and crazy guys, me and you.
New territory.
Eric. Yep.
For Martin there, yeah.
But yeah, we're going to recap the entire album of Make Believe, having already gone through and talked in depth about each track. We're going to break it down for you into little mini bite-sized chunks and talk about numbers, talk about if there are songs that we rated to be the same in a numerical way. We might even parse that down into smaller increments and fractions and stratify our opinions.
Yeah.
Even further than they ever have been before.
Well, to kind of start, I think, Martin, I think it would be nice to kind of just give our general thoughts, and then we can just go right into the ranking ratings, what have you. You know, taking our rankings and then applying it to, or taking our ratings and applying it to a ranking. Yeah. But if we talk about, just the album in general, I mean, my general take is that I think a little bit happier that, a little bit more into the album as a whole. I mean, certainly there were the standout songs, two or three songs, the singles or what have you, maybe a couple, maybe non-single here or there. That kind of was a bit more on my radar before going into this, for the podcast. But, in general, it kind of was a little, I think I've kind of probably had a little higher respect for it than what's coming up here a bit, Red Album, Raditude, maybe one or two others essentially.
Uh-huh.
I had a little bit higher, but now I have a good bit higher because it's definitely, in my mind, it's definitely higher than definitely Green and probably Maladroit too. It's got just enough more interesting things going on.
I think I would agree with, I might put it above Maladroit. And the funny thing about picking favorites or whatever is that they're going to change depending on, say you have a favorite song one day and you're like, okay, this is my favorite song of all time, easily. And then you listen to it on that day 10 times in a row. Mm-hmm. Then the next day, you might be like, you know what? I'm a little burnt out on that song. Maybe I love this song, but maybe it's not my favorite song anymore. Maybe my new favorite song is something that I didn't just listen to 10 times over and over.
I almost feel like that could be, for me, for my favorite band, the Beatles. That kind of is probably the case for me with A Day in the Life. I just got so into that. I had listened to that so many. It wouldn't not necessarily 10 times in a row in a single day, but just enough in over a longer period of time, a year or two or something, where I listened to it, almost every day or something.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I've since moved on to Tomorrow Never Knows.
Yeah, that's a great song. Yeah. Probably if you gave me those two, I would probably right now put one in each of my hands, and I had to crush one and then eat one. I would pick Tomorrow Never Knows too. Yeah. But yeah, for sure. And for a long time, I would say that and this isn't a Beatles podcast, but we can talk a little Beatles, me and you. We're Beatles
Zach
boys.
Isn't here.
Yeah, exactly. He can't tell us not to.
Now in a month, when Zach is back.
Yeah, we'll see. But maybe we'll
It's gonna
just
be boomer this and boomer that.
Exactly. We'll probably just still talk a little Beatles just to needle the boy. But yeah, I used to be super into Revolver, and I think like I kind of listened to that album in total. Speaking of Tomorrow Never Knows,
Oh, yeah.
like kind of into oblivion, where it's like I was like, oh no, like I listened to this a lot, and now like maybe if you ask me my favorite Beatles album, I might say like just to listen to. Maybe it's not like the best album, but for me to listen to, I would say Let It Be, because for a long time I kind of put Let It Be like in like another area in my mind where I was like, this is not as good an album. But like they're all great, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
then so yeah, so then I like now if you maybe I would say I would rather listen to Let It Be. There's a lot to like there.
I will take Beatles for Sale over, the worst Beatles album, in my opinion, I would say, over the worst Weezer album any day of the week.
Wow, this is a whole. Now I'm not even sure how to process that because I'd never thought about it like that before. I think that there are Weezer albums that I would put over, and I think I'll take at face value your Beatles for Sale is the worst Beatles album. That's fine with me. I don't have any quibbles with you here. But like I might even like if you put one album like Beatles for Sale in one hand and Make Believe in the other hand, and told me that I had to crush one forever into oblivion, like I'm wearing the Infinity Gauntlet or whatever, and then the other one I had to eat. I would probably pick Make Believe to listen to.
Yeah,
just right now.
Could be. Yeah, I could be swayed to seeing that. Yeah, wow.
But yeah, that's just me. And I think I talked kind of a lot about this over the last, 12 episodes, or not even 12 that I've been on, because we were just talking about this, but I wasn't on a few of the early tracks that you guys covered, you and Zach, on this album. But yeah, I've been talking about how a lot of this stuff was pretty new to me. And I guess I'll talk really quick about how when you and Zach first started the podcast and asked me to do it, I really thought that I was going to do it with you. And then, of course, I didn't end up being able to until some years later. But at that time, I had just gotten through a sort of a Weezer renaissance, a personal Weezer renaissance. I had been super into, like, obviously Blue Album in high school and Pinkerton, which was also in high school. Both of those kind of hit for me at the same time, because I don't think I was aware of Blue, like, right when it came out.
Yeah, same here, but in college for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I had, like, kind of paid attention to Green Album and Maladroit, and then my interest had really waned after that. So, like, I don't think I was even really aware of Make Believe when it came out. In 2005, who knows what I was doing? That was a weird time in my life. But yeah, so like I think I mean I must have heard like I know I heard Beverly Hills like around, because it was inescapable. And I think I had heard like Perfect Situation maybe was like kind of a minor hit. Does that correspond to your memory, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, for that time, I don't know that I would have heard that even. I know the We Are All on Drugs.
Oh yeah, and I had heard that too.
That
so yeah, I was aware of some songs.
Yeah.
But anyway, around the time when you guys started the podcast, I had just gotten like really, really into listening to the Weezer's entire discography, like front to back, and I would be riding my bicycle around, and I just listened to like every album like 3 times, and I was like, hey, you know what? Like a lot of this is really good. Like we'll get into it in the future, but even some stuff on like, I think a lot of like Raditude and Hurley is like pretty solid stuff, I would say. And I know that's like a controversial opinion among Weezer fans from what I've seen on the internet, but I think I can I'm allowed to have whatever dang old
Oh
opinion
yeah,
I like.
of course.
So anyway, that's something for future Martin and Eric to talk about. Let's talk about what the current Martin and Eric are going to talk about right now.
Rating songs is really cool, yeah, rating songs is great. But every now and then we need some time to aggregate. Now it's time to do that very thing. Rankings, rankings, rankings.
You want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
Yeah. What do you rank number 12?
I wrote down "Pardon Me" for number 12. Yep. I think I'm gonna like all of these songs. Like, I generally have a good feeling about each and every song on Make Believe. But yeah, this is my least favorite. Is "Pardon Me."
Yeah, and that is not the case for me. We'll see Pardon Me in a little bit, but not right away. My number 12 is The Damage in Your Heart.
All right.
That's it.
And that makes sense to me too. And it's funny when you're doing these rankings, or at least it was funny for me. Like, I kind of started slotting things in, and then the last few I was like, oh no, I don't even know if these really make sense. But it's it's just how we feel on this particular day. I'm gonna keep going with it. So yeah, you got The Damage in Your Heart for number 12, a respectable number 12, I would say.
Yeah. Well, and I can do the number 11. We can just go back and forth, kind of.
Yeah, I like it.
Take
Let's do
two
that
in a row each. So my number 11 is Peace.
Peace.
And yeah, I mean, it's, and I want to say right now though, The Damage in Your Heart, I can kind of hear that in my head. Peace, yeah, I can hear Peace too. I did just go through them before we started. I think you mentioned you might have done the same, but it's what's that chorus with the word peace in it? All I want is peace.
Yeah,
I think that's the right song.
Yeah, I need to find some peace is the lyric.
Need to find some peace. Yeah.
I know that one really well because before I gave up on trying to do a cover of each of the songs to correspond with every episode, I came very close. Peace was the one that it was only the second one that I tried, but I learned how to play it, so I've sang it a lot of times, but I never actually put together the cover of it because it's too much work for me and I didn't feel like doing it. But yeah, Peace, and I think that's an okay for number 11 too. I think there are a good number of these songs that I would say are like good, and this is gonna sound like I don't like them, but I would call them filler. I would call them on an album like this, on an album that I think is good. I think that still the filler songs can be good songs, but they're not like, we've got our top tier songs, and then these ones at the bottom of the ranking, I think, are going to be filler songs. I would classify Peace as that. So I mean,
my ratings for these two were 6 and 6.25. So
okay,
that's a respectable rating in my way of thinking of the totality of music. that I've been doing it as.
Yeah, absolutely. I forgot. Is that how you're doing it? You're rating the songs against every other song? That's wild, Eric. Yeah. You're a wild man. But you know what? I like it. I'm going to try to start doing that, but like, what a thing to try to rate a song against every other song in existence that you've ever heard. That's woo. Yep. Okay.
Well, what would you rate number 11?
Yeah, my 11 is Haunt You Every Day.
Oh.
That's what I've got written down here, and that's what I'm going to stick with. And again, a song that I really like. I actually think that going over it for the show, I ended up liking it way more. Like, this is one of the ones that I liked more the more I listened to it. But yeah, it's still down here on the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, that for me, that might be our biggest stretch. From one that you dislike to one that I like, and maybe vice versa. But
well, we'll find out.
Might have a different take on that. Maybe something else will appear that way to us later on.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Let's find out. I'm gonna tell you my number 10, and we'll
Yeah.
see. Maybe this is gonna be like way different than yours. But my number 10 is Beverly Hills.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's just the opposite of what you just said. Maybe it'll be different, way different.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, yeah, and I didn't get to talk about Beverly Hills.
Yeah,
you
right,
guys got
that's
to
true.
talk about Beverly Hills
Twice.
2 different episodes. And I listened to both of those, and they were both fun. And I think I basically agree with you and Zach on that one. I think it's a very good song, even though it's at the bottom of my rank, or near the bottom of my rankings again. I think it's a great song.
Yeah.
If it comes on in the grocery store, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait
Yeah.
for that guitar solo. This is
And
a cool
we definitely,
song.
yeah, and we definitely had guests that dislike this song a lot more than we do.
Yeah, that's
You
what
know,
I remember
it's-
too.
Yeah.
And I think that from what I've seen online in certain online Weezer spaces, I think there was some resentment when Beverly Hills came out that like it wasn't like a real Weezer song, or you know what I'm saying, like not like what certain Weezer fans were looking for from Weezer. But I think it's great.
Yeah, it definitely has. You know, as much as Green had this pop punk sound to it, the most, you know, of I think everything we've heard so far. I mean, it was a bit pop in a different way, and I can totally see. Yeah, it makes sense that there would be some Weezer fans out there that were that critical of it.
Yeah,
But
well,
you know, hey, coming from a non-expectations, I try not to have expectations upon the band's musicians that I like, or really any of them, even ones I don't like. I
Sure.
mean, maybe Nickelback will come out with something awesome at some point. I don't even know if
I
they're still
would
band.
love if Nickelback put
Yeah.
out like a really great album. I would be like, dang, good for them.
Right. But yeah, you know, it's to me, it's a fun song.
Yeah, well, we'll see
it's
where
worth
you
something.
put it in your rankings coming up. I'm assuming, or is it your number 10? Reveal.
So that's what I was getting at.
Okay.
the exact, as much as the opposite as you can be from having ours be far away from each other, we were on the nose. in sync with
Oh,
that one.
okay. I didn't get that
Oh,
before.
no, you're fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
it
you're
all
fine.
makes sense. Well, number 10, Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Unanimous decision.
Except for by our guests.
Exactly.
I'm sure. It must be. We have to assume it would be number 12. You know, for at least the I think the 3 guests we had between those 2 episodes. So number 9 for me is Perfect Situation.
All right. Perfect situation. Yeah. I feel like that's the one that when I think about that song, it's like a song where you go back and you're like, how does that song go?
Yeah, right.
It's the least, like, it sticks with me the least. It's the least memorable. That's what the word that I'm trying to say. For
Well,
me,
I mean, as we already discussed a little bit, it was one of the singles, one of the 4 singles. And for me right now, I've had 2 of the singles here near the bottom.
yeah.
You know, not totally at the bottom, but near the bottom. So that's, I mean, it's interesting when, you know, bands can have albums that have a couple out of their 4 singles, you know, be, you know, not as good as most of the rest of the album. It kind of tells me, you know, makes me think that, okay, they are looking to try to make what's popular versus what's good the single.
Yeah, I think that's pretty true. One thing that I really feel about Weezer as a band, and maybe Rivers Cuomo as a person, is that it seems like, especially Rivers, you get the feeling that he's trying like really hard. Right? Do you get that feeling?
Well, I mean, again, I mean, we talked about it at least a couple times before, and back, I think around the time, you know, or at least, you know, maybe like in the Green Maladroit era a little bit when the podcast the musicians themselves dissect one of their songs.
Uh-huh. Are you talking about Song Exploder?
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
Okay.
yes. Thank you. So on that one episode where Rivers was on, and that was for what's that? Drunk Dory or whatever, Susan, the couple girls' names.
Oh,
There's a
right.
song.
Yeah, I don't know that the song title off the top of my
Yeah.
head, but I know which one you're talking about.
But,
It's
I
the
mean-
White Album, right?
Yeah, I that sounds right. But I mean, him going into his explanation of what his at that time, and I think since then he's been doing is very very much in my way of thinking of things. Sometimes, I mean, certainly right now I'm looking at it, a spreadsheet. But yeah, he utilizes spreadsheets and coding. He does a lot of. He's learned coding and does a lot of coding to help him.
Oh my gosh, you said the word coding, and I heard codeine, and I was like, oh man, Rivers is into that cough syrup? Okay, cool. I believe it.
Okay, yeah.
No, okay, that's just, I'm
But
sorry.
yeah, he's back to the drugs to help him. He was there in the early 2000s, but
Yeah, and he's been doing that since, I remember hearing interviews back during the Green Album where he had, like, his notebooks and stuff of, like...
yeah, he kind of had a more rudimentary way of doing it,
Yeah.
I think, then, and then he's progressed into,
Into codeine.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So what's your number 9?
Yeah, number 9. Number 9. Number 9. The Other Way is my number 9. Yeah, another one of those mid-tempo songs that's here on the album that I would also consider filler. And again, not a bad song. Zach, a good song. So chill, Zach. But yeah, it's just down here near the bottom of my rankings. I don't really have a ton to say about it. I would say it's good, not great. The Other Way. And then I'm just gonna move right on to my number 8.
Yep.
And for me, the number 8 ranking is My Best Friend. And that song,
I'm a number 8.
well, we found out on the Best Friend episode that we are best friends. So that let that be placed into the Feels Like Weezer lore. That whoever writes the lore of the Feels Like Weezer podcast, make it, put it in there. Eric and I are best friends. But yeah, I think that's it's a good song. A little up-tempo one, even though it's kind of down here in like the lower mid-range of my rankings. But yeah, still a good song. And what's your number 8?
My number 8 is Pardon Me.
Pardon me.
Pardon me for thinking Pardon Me is a better song than you did.
I will pardon you for that.
'Cause it feels like Weezer. 'Cause it feels like Weezer.
So my number 7 is one that you just said, The Other Way.
Yeah,
Not
so this
too
one
long ago.
we're pretty close on. But I think it's fun when we both have the same ranking. Maybe we'll find that we maybe up near the top we might have some more similar ones. But yeah, so my number 7 is going to be Peace, which was what was that? Your
That was
number 11?
my number 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I rank it a little higher, but I think there's like a kind of stew of all of these these bottom ones to me. I think are all good, but they all do belong in my mind, like down near the bottom of the rankings. So yeah, Peace for me is number 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then is it me again? I go to number 6
to do a number 6. Yeah.
Yeah. and I put The Damage in Your Heart at number 6.
Which was my 12.
Yeah. So that one's our rankings are pretty far apart on that one, but maybe coming up we'll see. I know that your number 6. This isn't going to be your number 6, but reveal to me, Eric, what is your number 6 ranking?
My number 6 is This Is Such a Pity.
Wow. Yeah.
So, and kind of, I don't know if I kind of said this on that episode, but you know, it was there is this matter of, it sounds a bit like I don't know the word pity. There's a George Harrison, you know, song, you know, similarly titled, but then the way Rivers sings it, the word pity. He there's this weird, you know, he doesn't quite enunciate it
I've never
to much
noticed
of my liking
that before.
as I would like. Yeah.
Do you want him to really hit the T sound, or do you really want him to hit the E sound?
Kind of both. I mean, it's other. I mean, it's missing the T, the 2 syllable. It's almost like it's 1 syllable, the one word.
P.
Yeah, it's almost like it's P. You know.
Okay, I've never noticed that before, and I don't think that you said it in the episode because I feel like I would remember it, but also that episode was so long ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For us. Maybe for the listener, they're binging the Feels Like Weezer podcast right now, and that episode was only even so, it was probably hours ago for you.
Yeah, it's quite possible.
And also, what are you doing with your life? Okay, so moving on.
Yeah, we're getting close to almost a year ago recording. just shy of 11 months.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Oh yeah. My number 5 then is My Best Friend.
Okay. Yeah, and I can understand also putting that song up higher in the rankings than I did. It's like a good up tempo song, and yeah, it's a fun song. So I 100% support you in this ranking.
For a couple of the most up tempo songs, this and Beverly Hills. Like I was saying, I would probably prefer. I would think that this My Best Friend could be more of a single. Than Beverly Hills.
I could definitely see that. Maybe I don't know. Beverly Hills is like such a banger. I think like regardless. I think even the people maybe I don't remember the episode that well, but even people who don't like it, I think can admit that it's like a very catchy song. And I think maybe one of the criticisms is that it's like too catchy, right?
Yeah, I suppose so.
I think there's like no universe where Beverly Hills isn't the single from this album, but that's just me. But yeah, I do think that there are other ones that could be contenders potentially, and yeah, I definitely 100% agree with you that My Best Friend could be one of those easily. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so. Are we on my number 5?
Yeah, you're number 5.
Okay. For number 5, I picked Perfect Situation. Yeah, Johnny 5 Alive. It's a perfect situation for a robot to get struck by lightning and gain sentience and put on a mohawk. I don't really remember everything that happened, but I think that's Short Circuit too.
Pretend he's a butterfly.
Yeah.
Which does connect with Weezer.
Yep. You did it. But yeah, Perfect Situation. It's a catchy tune, but it does have a lyricless chorus. And I don't know, neither you or I, Eric, are like super lyrics guys. But I think that might have something to do with why it doesn't stick out quite as much in my mind, even though I guess it was one of the singles. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, yeah, Perfect Situation, number 5. We're getting up near the top, so it still is, like, pretty high in my esteem, but just kind of around the middle here. Mm-hmm. And then do I go to my number 4?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. I picked We Are All on Drugs. And this "We Are All on Drugs" is a great song. I remember well enough that we first established that this song was a bop in the episode where we talked about it. I still maintain "We Are All on Drugs" is indeed a bop. What's your number 4, Eric?
And definitely talking with the boppiest person of them all, Kandra.
Yeah, Kandra, the all-star of all the make-believe episodes, and even beyond.
Oh, yeah. So this is our other little fluky happenstance occurrence that's also my number 4. We Are All on Drugs.
Yeah, I don't know why this makes me so happy, but I'm overjoyed. You can't see
probably
me,
start
but
happening more.
I'm grinning.
Yeah.
Yeah, since we've eliminated many of the possibilities, it does seem like one of the next 3 might end up being the same. So let's find out. What's your number 3 ranking, Eric?
My number 3 is Hold Me. Not Hold On, Hold Me. Because I did make that mistake in the social media posting.
Well, I don't know. It's I would say it's a dud title, kind of, for like a very good song. Yeah, I love Hold Me. I didn't put it at number 3.
Oh, you like it even better.
Yeah. But I did put This Is Such a Pity at number 3. I guess I like that song a fair amount more than you do. I think like the new wave sound for Weezer, I like hearing Rivers' voice over like that kind of like new wave synthy sound. And I think that like way later on in their catalog, they kind of have some more stuff that sort of sounds like that, and every time it comes up, I really dig that. So yeah, that for me is number 3. This Is Such a Pity. And then I put for number 2, I put Hold Me. Yeah, so we're pretty close together on that, but not quite synced up. But yeah, what a great song. I think I talked enough about it during the actual episode about how much I like it. But yeah, I think compared to all other songs in the universe, that one's got to be like pretty high up there in my regard. So yeah,
Yep.
what do you say for number 2?
Yeah, so my number 2 should tell you, might maybe tell you, but you're not looking at the spreadsheet like I am.
Yeah, I'm just trying to use my memory.
You may be able to figure it out,
Yeah, we'll see.
and listeners may be able to figure out if I say what my number 2 is, what both of our number 1s are as the same. My number 2 is Haunt You Every Day.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, and that one's we're way on different ends of the spectrum here.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's okay. Because yeah, I still like that song.
Yeah.
Still a great song.
So my number 1 and yours is,
And my number 1,
say it.
Freak Me Out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, cool. I didn't from what I remember from the episode, I didn't remember you liking it quite as much as I did, but yeah, I think Freak Me Out is like, as I've been listening to Make Believe over and over for this podcast, like every time I listen to Freak Me Out, I'm just like, wow, this song like slaps so hard, so good. Like, yeah, I think it's like a really underrated song in the Weezer discography. I don't feel like I hear or see online a lot of people talking about it. So yeah, Freak Me Out. Wow, cool. I'm glad you picked that one too. That's fun. Again, very fun for me. I'm just grinning and having a great old time with this number 1 ranking. Right.
And then, so just now, what I've done is I then copied in the spreadsheet the from the previous usages of it, the previous average calculation. Okay, now I can tell everyone. Do I want to go from the worst to the highest? We already know what the highest is, so maybe that's a little anticlimactic. So I'll just go from the highest to the lowest, based on our little ratings just now, or rankings just now between the two, and there's a couple ties essentially at least. But so Freak Me Out is the highest between considering both of our ratings.
Okay.
Or rankings, whichever one. But then Hold Me, and then We Are All on Drugs, then This Is Such a Pity, and then My Best Friend and Haunt You Every Day are tied. Then Perfect Situation, then The Other Way, and then Peace and Damage in Your Heart are tied. And then tied for the bottom also is Beverly Hills and Pardon Me.
All right. That makes a lot of sense to me. Kind of lines up with my feelings generally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. And listeners at home, don't check on that math. Just take our word for it. You don't need to be checking up on our work.
Well, I don't know. Jeff, I think Jeff might.
Okay, well, if you need to take that upon yourself, then...
But I'm not telling him, too, that he should.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, get at us if you feel like it.
We hope you found this segment interesting. These have been our rankings.
Is there anything else we really need to go over, talk about at this point?
I don't think so. I think that we've fully discussed this entire album as much as two reasonable people could discuss it. Maybe even more than that. Maybe even more than two reasonable people could discuss it. Yeah, and I think...
Or as much as two slightly...
unreasonable
people. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought we were going to actually use the N-word, and not the other N-word.
Whoa! Eric, no!
No. Nerd.
Oh, gotcha.
A couple of nerdy people. Good
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, for sure. This is actually feels like exactly the right amount to talk about it to me.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. But yeah, I think that we can close the book on this chapter of the Feels Like Weezer podcast, the Make Believe chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And,
and we do kind of call them seasons. We do generally, like I mentioned before, you hopefully should be hearing us in about a month from now, as far as when these episodes release. And with hopefully Zach, he does want to continue doing his big intro to each album special episode that we like to do. He does a nice little rundown of events that have happened, so forth, and what the kind of some details that were going on in River's life and the rest of the band. So hopefully we hear that in about a month from now. But otherwise, do we have anything else we want to wrap up with? You want to do any plugs?
Yeah, I'll just real quick say my Bandcamp. You can listen to music. Hopefully, I'm just gonna say that I did write a rankings theme because it's been on my mind, and I think I'm going to write it. But as of this recording, it's not written or recorded. But yeah, you heard the intro theme song, and maybe you heard it in the middle, depending on how long this episode is. That's me. I wrote that song, and I sing with my little voice, and then the rankings theme song you heard. Maybe it might turn out when this episode comes out that I just kind of left it to the last minute, and so like maybe it's not that great a song, but that's if you liked that song, then listen to more of my music on bandcamp.com/MartinDavidTapia, MartinDavidTapia.
And for the show, I think we should mention that everyone can email us at feelslikeweezer@gmail.com to give us any little private messages. Otherwise, definitely check out our
If you've got any spreadsheet quibbles, feelslikeweezer@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Send us an email.
Yeah, I mean, if you get in touch with us that way and say, hey, if you want something to be talked about on air or whatever, then we could possibly do that way. But otherwise, we won't necessarily go into things that are said in our socials and so forth, and on Facebook, which I was just about to mention, facebook.com/feelslikeweezer. That's our page, and then we have our group that's called the Feels Like Weezer Listener Society.
Yeah, that's a fun place to talk about Weezer. Come join us, won't you?
Yeah. And we also have our Twitter handle is @feelslikeweezer. And then for me, just like I said at the beginning, I got the two other Movie by Minute shows, Almost Famous and way long ago, Watch Me a Minute. You can check those both out, just Googling them. And we are on Pantheon Podcast Network along with one of those two, Almost Famous Minute, because that's a very music-heavy movie. Mostly rock. Pantheon Podcast is mostly a rock and roll music web
rock and or roll
podcast network. Yeah. Oh, there's a huge thing with that for one of the other shows on the network. We got well over 50 shows, might be 60, 70 or so. But one I love the best is Who Cares About the Rock Hall. And on that show, they do make a distinction between what is rock and what is roll to try to understand why some groups and so forth, bands, groups, musicians are put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Eric, real quick, I have a question. Have you ever been to the Rock Hall?
I sure have, twice.
Yeah, you're not that far away from us here in Cleveland. I
should have to make a third trip and visit with you, hopefully.
Yeah. We can, now that the mask mandate is over.
Oh yeah.
We could hang out maybe sometime if you're ever in the area, or if I come to wherever it is you live, Dayton.
That's correct.
Okay. Yep. I don't know why I would go to Dayton, but you never know.
The Wright-Patterson National Air Force and Space too now, I think, museum.
All right. That's a good enough reason for me. That and my best friend lives there. So.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I'm sorry I cut you off. What were you talking about before?
I was talking about the Pantheon Podcast Network, and you can find them at pantheonpodcast.com. All those other great shows there. Other than that, I think we can wrap up. Have our usual bad ending.
Yep. You know what? Actually, this is kind of embarrassing, Eric, but I can't really think of like a bad, awkward ending right now. Can you?
No, I don't think so.
Ugh.
Oh, that's awkward. Okay, I think we did it.
Yeah.